guys, I'm coming to you today from my kitchen for my first Finding Your Fitness how-to video, and it's about reading food labels. I'm going to give you some of my favorite tricks for reading labels and also give you a little bit of general information that might help you to make healthier choices when you're at the store. This is the kind of stuff we're used to seeing at the store. A lot of bright packages with really enticing pictures of the food on it. But these days, that's not the only thing we're facing. We also have to look at labels like all natural, low fat, less sodium. If you're trying to eat healthier, just avoid looking at the front of the package at all. Actually, if I had it my way, a grocery store aisle would look like this. There, that looks a lot better. Now, I know there's a lot of information, but just remember, the more you're aware and the more informed you are about the foods that you're eating, the more you're going to think about the choices that you make. Let's start with this as an example. I'm sure you're pretty familiar with this product. Obviously, tomatoes in a bottle, right? Well, if you turn it around and look at it, you're going to find out that this has added sugar and salt, even though tomatoes are the first ingredient. Now, I'm not saying that this is a bad or a good food choice, but you just need to be aware of what it is that you're eating. Well, now that we're looking at the food label, you might be wondering, where should you start? Well, for me, I always like to start at the very bottom, at the ingredients list. If you see something that is so long and full of words that you don't understand, you might want to set aside that product for now. You can always go back and find out what those words mean, and if you're comfortable with eating those things, then feel free to. But it's just a good rule of thumb. The other handy thing to know about the ingredients list is that it actually tells you what's in the product, and it lists it, starting with what the product contains the most of, and then ending with what it contains the least of. Now, everything I'm talking about today applies to all food, whether it's food products or whole foods. Just keep that in mind. But today, we're talking mostly about the dangers of food products. When I was starting out trying to eat more healthy, there were two things that I always looked for when I looked at an ingredient list. Those were partially hydrogenated oil and high fructose corn syrup. As soon as I saw either one of those ingredients, I just put the package down. Now, I'm going to be doing more detailed videos about different ingredients later on, but I just thought you'd like to know where I started. I think the ingredient list actually gives you the best picture of what it is that you're eating. Here's a nice little thing to think about. If sugar in any one of its forms is in the first three ingredients, you're probably eating dessert. The next big thing to think about on a food label is actually the serving size, which you'll find all the way back up at the top. This measurement is supposed to represent how much you're going to eat in one sitting. It's usually in some unit of measure like grams or milliliters or ounces, sometimes even numbers of a chip. I like to go with a unit like grams and use something like this, a food scale. You can find it at just about any big box store, and it is like my #1 recommendation to anybody who's starting out trying to eat more healthy. You can weigh out exactly how many grams you're going to be having, and that's really important because all of the nutritional information that's below this part of the food label is actually just for that serving size. So if the serving size is 30 grams and you have 60 grams, then you're actually eating twice as much of everything on that label. The other part of that is actually the servings in every container. Big containers like this one contain a lot of servings of a product. And if you're not careful, you may eat 20 or 30 times what the food label says you're going to. So those are the two parts of a label that I think are most important to focus on. Well, actually, most people go to the store, they pick something up, and they look at calories. Right off the bat. What if I told you that there were actually no calories in this jar at all? Well, there kind of are. But calories are actually a unit of measure of energy. Specifically, the amount of energy that it takes to raise 1 gram of water by 1 degree Celsius. The calories that you see on a package are actually representative of the 3 major macronutrients: fats, proteins, and carbohydrates. But calories are extremely helpful. Remember how I said that the food that we eat is the fuel for our body? Well, calories give us an idea of how much energy we're putting into our bodies in the form of carbohydrates, proteins, and fats every day. Each one of these major macronutrients has an energy value associated with it. Carbohydrates and proteins come in at 4 calories per gram, while fats have the most energy at 9 calories per gram. Since calories represent those 3 major macronutrients, there's a lot more to the story, and I'll be covering that in later videos. But for now, just be aware of that. For instance, if a package says, let's see, you've got 7 grams of protein in 1 serving. Protein has 4 calories per gram, right? So if we have 7 grams of it, we multiply 7 times 4, and we get 28. So you've just consumed 28 calories worth of protein. The calculation for how many calories are actually coming from fat is already done for you on the food label. You should use this number, calories from fat, as a guide. Try to keep it at 1/3 or less of the total calories in a product. Now, lots of other nutrients are included on the food label. 2 things that I want to highlight right now: always try to have trans fat at 0 grams per serving. And also, try to look for foods that are lower in sodium. You're probably getting enough of it. Of course, different people have different nutritional needs, and registered dietitians, along with resources like choosemyplate.gov, can help you to understand yours. But you can start making healthier choices today, just by reading the ingredients list and watching your servings. Thanks for watching. Please leave a comment or a thumbs up if you learned anything new today. As always, leave any comments, questions, or suggestions that you have for me, and be sure to subscribe to my channel. I'll be posting a new video every week, 1 week about fitness and wellness, and the next, a new original Zumba choreography. Now get out there and find your fitness.